What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FaceTurn with Candace Cordelia. I am your host, Candace Cordelia, and today we have an awesome episode. I am so amped to get season 2 started, and we have a very special guest today. You may have obviously seen him on all of the iterations of All Elite Wrestling, from Dynamite down to Dark. He is the one-time BTE champion. And you also recently, if you caught him on Rampage, you saw him post up against Ms. Jade Cargo, and my poster agrees. My poster behind me agrees. Without further ado, welcome Mr. John Silver of the Dark Order. How are you today, sir? And I'm going to adjust my poster. How are you?
I thought that was going to hit you in the head, but it didn't look heavy, so I didn't say anything. But I'm good. I'm ready to go. Just had some protein, and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Also, you got to have that protein at the start of the day, right?
Of course, always.
So let's just get started for, the beginning of your journey. And I have so many questions for you. It's really an honor to meet you. I'm a huge fan. I've been watching you since you started off at All Elite Wrestling, but your journey started well before AEW. So I want to just get into the first bit of everything. How did you first get into wrestling?
I first got into wrestling. My dad put it on, and I think I was really young. So I must have been. I think my early memories. I was probably around like 5 years old when I remember. I was born in 91, and I think I remember the whole Canada versus USA type feud they had with Bret Hart, the Hart Foundation. And just once I remember watching it, I got hooked. So thanks to my dad. And then eventually we got hooked and we were young. So wrestling would be on late. It'll go to 11. And I remember my dad being like, yo, you're 6 years old. You gotta go to bed. And we would beg him please, no, he wouldn't watch. So thanks for him for letting us stay up and watch wrestling.
Amen. So how do you go from watching wrestling at 6 years old to actually training to be a pro wrestler?
Well, I started training at 14 years old. So I was very young. Just something I knew I wanted to do. And it was very weird. I was a wrestling fan all my life, but there was a weird 2 years where I didn't watch wrestling, and it wasn't a choice. I just forgot. I forgot for 2 years. I don't know how that happened. Then when I got back into it around 13 years old or whatever it was, I think I looked up wrestling schools on a MySpace wrestling page, and someone said, yeah, there's MYWC is in Long Island. So I went there, checked it out, and I didn't think I would be able to join because I was 14, but they're like, well, you're athletic, and if your parents say you can do it, then let's start going. So ever since then, I started wrestling.
Wow. So what was that like at 14? I mean, did you feel intimidated at all, or were you more so, let's just do this, let's just get right in?
Oh, I was scared. So we get there, first day we went to watch, and it just happened to be I don't think they did it on purpose, but they were all doing stuff on the top ropes and joking around and having a good time. So wow, this seems like the coolest thing ever. Then the first day I get there, and my trainer was Mikey Whipwreck. So Mikey's there, and I obviously knew about him, so I was intimidated by him. And I think he was kind of joking around with me because I was 14 years old. So he's like, hey kid, so what's your view on politics? And I'm just joking around. But I didn't know what the hell to say. And then everyone was, a lot bigger than me, a lot more muscular than me, a lot older than me. So I was definitely very intimidated. But I also was looking up to everyone there, I wanted to be like everyone there, but it was definitely a scary experience. Everyone was so big, and then you see them getting slammed in the ring and doing this. So I was like, whoa, this is maybe this is too much. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
So what was the moment in which you found your confidence in the ring? Was there a certain time where you thought, okay, now I feel comfortable. Now I know this is the career path for me?
I knew that was the career path for me right away, but I did like feeling comfortable. I think like this is weird. I was always shy around everyone besides like a very few people that like were about the same experience as me, or some people were around my age. There's some people like 18 or 17 that were training as well. So I talked to them mostly. But it's like weird when I was in the ring, I was very quiet because it's very weird. Like people don't know me, I'm usually pretty quiet for the most part. Like I get more comfortable around. I'm a lot different around people I know when I get comfortable. But it was weird. Matt Stryker came down, and that's when he was in WWE, and he was having us do drills. And I was always like, I did no personality in the ring, and for some reason, I just started going crazy. I don't know what came out of me. And then everyone was like, what where the hell was that? Like, you got to start doing whatever you just did in the ring all the time. So I don't know why I just decided that day to let my inner me out. But that kind of helped a little bit.
You pretty much had like a Sasha Fierce moment where it's like Beyonce, it's like, I'm shy in person, and then you found yourself eventually in the ring. I mean, that happens. I can definitely understand that. So you're in the ring, you're training, you're getting your reps. How do you go from training at 14 to eventually being scouted for All Elite Wrestling? How did that happen for you?
I mean, 14 years old, and then I got signed at AW when I was, I believe, 29. So that's a big difference of a lot of experience, a lot of working around the world and stuff like that. So it was just busting my ass for forever. I mean, when you're that young, especially 14, you're always like, oh, I'm going to be the youngest person signed ever, and I'm going to be the youngest champion, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. It doesn't always work out that way. So, I mean, it was like, when you're that young, you don't expect to really get signed or do this or do that. But like, eventually when I started getting older, like I started to see all my friends get signed, people I've wrestled get signed, people that have been training less than me get signed. So mentally it's kind of really rough, but back then there was no AEW, it was only WWE. So there was one place to really go. I mean, you could also, I also would have went to Impact or even like New Japan, but I had no connections there. So once AEW came around, the way we got, I guess you could say, scouted was that we just knew the Young Bucks. Like, we wrestled them twice before and they liked us. And that's the reason we got to PWG in the first place, is because of them. So they were in Philly, and Philly's pretty close for me and Alex. And I guess they needed a team to get beat up. And they're like, oh, we get these two guys from Long Island. They're pretty local. We can use them. They'll do this job perfectly. So they hit us up, and then it was just like an idea, like that always like I think we went to I think Matt Jackson came up to us and he's like, hey, maybe we'll do something where you guys are just like always the local talent and you just always lose every week. I'm like, sure, we just want to be here. But then the next time we came and we did something like that, they're like, oh, we're thinking maybe we just throw you guys in like the Dark Order or something. But he always said everything very nonchalant, so he always just didn't think anything was going to get followed up. We're always like, yeah, sure, I guess we'll believe it when we see it. But everything he always said always happened. So it was different than like when AEW was starting. Like, everyone was like, they got scouted. Like, they're like, oh, this person is all elite. This person is all elite. We never had that. This, John Silver and Alex Reynolds are all elite. It was just kind of like, we were just there. And then eventually we just got signed. So that worked out, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. 100% worked out. And we have to shout out Alex Reynolds because, you guys have come a ways together and you're really good friends. You've worked together in the ring. I mean, what's it like sharing this journey with Reynolds along the way?
It's awesome. I mean, it's what we always wanted. We met in wrestling. So it's not like we were friends before, but like we were always like connected. Even when we started training before we were like a team, like we started training around about the same time. He was about a week or two before me. Then he lived pretty close to me, and I was 14 when I started training. So I needed someone to drive me home. So my mom would drop me off at training, and then he would drive me home. just about every class. And we just always talk about, our dreams of wrestling and what we want to do and this and that, or ideas. Like, because back then we didn't have characters yet. We didn't have, so we're trying to think of like, oh, what should I do for this? And just always ideas. And then eventually he was always like the bad guy and I was always the good guy. So I was like this, when I started wrestling in the ring for matches, I was 16, this cute little 16-year-old. And he was like this douchey, rich looking character. So we're like, oh, we can't team. But eventually we're just like, you know what, let's just team and see what happens. And it worked out. So it's kind of like perfect. Like we've been training since we started and then we finally get signed together. And there was like times in wrestling where we weren't always necessarily like a tag team, but like be like, oh, okay, you do your singles thing, I'll do mine. But we always like would go to the shows together. Like we're always just like together. We never get into fights like ever. So it's just kind of like a perfect scenario where we both get signed at the same time.
That is perfect. And I mean, I read that at a certain point, actually, when you both came into AEW around 2020, that there was a time where Reynolds himself stated he didn't know where you were both going to be in the company at that point. You guys thought you were kind of in danger or might not make it. So what was that like for you to really make a stake in AEW? And I understand that, BTE has a huge part of that. You guys built your characters on that show. So talk to me about just making sure that you guys had a place and kept your places in All Elite.
Yeah. That was a weird time back then because we didn't know, like we said, like we were signed just to basically be backup people for Stu and Uno in the Dark Order. We weren't signed to have big matches and do this and that. So we were just backup people and they had no intention of actually using us really to have us wrestle and do anything. And even like Tony will tell you, he thought that we had no character and no personality because I was just in my head, at least, and probably Alex too, our characters, we were like brainwashed, like cult people, in a cult. So in my head, I just always was like, okay, well, if I'm brainwashed, I'm not going to be this goofy character. I can't like that I normally am. So let me like walk to the ring like with this weird face, angry face on like that, and just try to be like kind of evil, I guess. And so that was my thought of that, but that is not the good thing to do. So no one in management really knew that we had these characters until we did BTE. And we did think we were on the chopping block. We heard there was like, we heard specifically there was nothing, they didn't want to use us for matches. Like they didn't want to use us because they didn't think we had anything. So we were kind of like, well, if they're not going to let us wrestle, we can't really show what we could do. So how do we show who we are? Like, how do we like get in front of people? Like we got to do something. So then we started doing BTE, and at first I'm like, I was kind of scared to like not to be that's creepy character on BT, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just do us. Let's just be how we are, and we'll see what happens. And eventually, like, caught a lot of views, and a lot of people liked what we were doing. So it worked. Obviously, it did work out very, very well. But we like needed that. If we didn't have that, I don't know if we would be in AEW still. So.
Mm-hmm. And with BTE, it's so entertaining. I've been watching it since its inception. You're especially hilarious on it. And I would love to know, is it improv? Like, how are you preparing for BTE? Are you guys just, doing it off the top of your heads? Do you have any type of preparation? Do you do a lot of takes?
A lot of it, most of it, I'd say is improv. There's definitely times I kind of will, if we think of like an idea, usually we'll think of an idea of what this skit is going to be or what it is. And then once you have the idea, a lot of it is just wherever we're like, maybe I have a line in my head that I might want to use, but usually it's just whatever's at the top of my head or with pretty much everyone. But for the most part, we have the idea and we have to have like different parts. Like sometimes you have this person has to walk in at this time. Like we have to give like a cue to like we say this and then you walk in. but it's a lot of improv. And I don't know, I guess I have a lot of weird things I could say, and I like to react off people. So if someone says something like this, I could always react this way. But like, I've definitely had lines that we use, like Budge was a planned line. And that was actually Paul's idea to say Budge. The idea was to give him different names, and we had this like phone generator thing that gives you random names. So we were gonna just use that, but he's like, oh, I've seen this reality show where this guy's name was Budge, just Budge in all caps. So if you want to use that, that'd be cool. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But like, so much stuff, especially with like, especially like, we'd have these shows, and not apparently, I don't know what I'm saying. Every week we feel like we had to do something every week, but we didn't know, like, okay, this kind of ran its course. What do we do now? Let's do a sleepover, because why not? And then we would just wing it from there. Like, we'd have random ideas, or like you'd have just random lines, and it would just be like, okay, let's work around this one line. I don't know. So it's a lot of improv. But there's some, stuff I kind of have on the top of my head to use already.
We're here for the improv, Hungee. And I have to say, all the nicknames, I love it. The fact your fans are so dedicated to everything about you, from the nicknames to just your persona to everything that you're doing in BTE. And it's really been a joy seeing your journey so far. I mean, it started in 2020 with All Elite, and now we're here at 2022, and you've done so much. And I have to say, you and the Dark Order have done so much and have grown. I mean, did you anticipate seeing just how Dark Order started from then to now, and seeing the growth from everyone in the group?
No, definitely not in the beginning. I never thought that we would be doing what we're doing. And it's like so weird that the characters we are now started with pretty much like me and Alex just being idiots. And then now that's our gimmick. But in a fun way, like, I thought I would just be like the goofy one, and that would be, everyone else would still be kind of crazy or like evil, but I would be like that weird kind of one. But now it's like we're all just kind of like the weird group that is just doing whatever and having fun. And people can see how much that the Dark Order has fun, and I think that's why everyone likes the Dark Order and wants to cheer for us now. And because they see that we're having fun, they see like how much we click together, and it's cool because like we all really get along. Like, it's not like okay, filming's done, you go this way, I go that way. Like, like I'll see you at the show maybe. Like we all get along. Like obviously me and Alex are really good friends. We became really good friends with Stu and Uno. Like 10, I'm great friends with him. Alan, like, like we're just, Anna's so much fun to make fun of. Like we just have a good bond together. So it is very weird to see where we started and then where we're at right now. But the crowd really enjoys it. So I think it's a good change. There's definitely people that were like, oh, I wish you guys were still evil and doing this. Yeah, well, you're one of few, but I like being, if this is just who I am. So I like doing me. I feel most comfortable if I'm out there being me, because it's not a character. Like, I know people, like, I don't really play a character. I just kind of just go out there and just do whatever I feel like doing, if that makes sense.
Amen. And you mentioned Anna. I had to laugh because we saw you defend her honor in her match against Jade Cargo, which was so nice to see. That was really cool. And the fact that you went toe to toe with Jade, I mean, it was just a stare down, but I have a feeling fans are going to want to see more of that, more interaction between you and Jade. Can you see yourself doing more of that, being in the corner of Anna Jay or anyone else in the Dark Order, and kind of going into even per se a management type role?
I mean, I like wrestling, so I would really want to stay wrestling. But if there's nothing that week for me to like wrestle, And they're like, well, Uno has a match. Do you want to be ringside? Of course. I'd rather be out there than not be out there. So, and it actually was a lot of fun to just kind of jump around and do random stuff on the outside and cheer. So I had fun doing that. I would never say I would be a manager type role unless I was like injured or something. But no, I want to wrestle, and I think people want to see me wrestle. So, but if, like I said, if there's like, hey, Anna has a match, want to be ringside? I'd rather do that than stay in the back and just watch there. So, that's
I totally understand. And, you know, speaking of the back, I would love to know is in terms of just your time backstage. I mean, how is that like for you? Was it more so sometimes you're gaining advice from a mentor? Are you just chilling? Are you filming? Like, how is that environment usually just for you?
I mean, it gets kind of hectic depending on what's going on that day. Like the other day, like when I did the tag team title match, me and Alex versus Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, there's a lot of stuff that has to be done that day. Obviously, you got to prepare for your match. We had stuff to film. We had two things we had to film, and sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes that can be quick, but you know, sometimes you're ready to film and you're like waiting, and then this person's not ready, so so you have to wait. So that takes up a lot of time during the day. But like advice wise, we have so many people that we can get advice from. I mean, we got some of the best wrestlers in the world there. We got some of the best legends of all time. Like there's plenty of people I talk to, and especially like after a match, I could ask questions and like what they thought of this and what I could do better here. But like I wouldn't say I have a mentor because I like to talk to everyone or most people at least. And especially you got to see who was really watching, you know, sometimes like you might want to ask this person, but they were busy doing this. So they didn't see the match or they didn't see your segment, but I'll ask a lot of people. If I have anything I have to speak, I'll see if Chris Jericho watched and see what his thought of that is. When it comes to wrestling, it could be anyone. There's so many people that I could ask advice from. So I like to see who was around. I'll always ask Tony what he thought too. But also look around and see who was watching and see if they have any type of advice or even if the people I wrestled, like sometimes I'm wrestling some of the best wrestlers in the world. So I'll be like, hey, do you have any advice for me here? I ask a lot, you know, it's good that we have so many people that we could kind of go for advice.
Yes. I mean, what's one valuable piece of advice that you received from any of those people, especially even Tony Khan backstage?
I mean, I guess a lot of people, I'm like, my brain doesn't always remember everything. So I don't know exactly who gives me some advice sometimes. But it's definitely like making the best out of every moment you're out there is, I think one of the most important things. Like if the camera's on me, I really try to make sure I could say something or do something, make a face that people, I don't know, something that people are going to remember and be like, oh, did you see when John did that? Like it could be a 30-second promo video where I have one line, but I want to make sure people be like, okay, have them tweet about that, have them talk about that, have them, make that their picture that they're, making it a meme of it, or, like just anything where I could be in front of the camera. I would like to make it, I try to make it something that can be kind of memorable or something that would make people smile or laugh or have emotion to, or, I think that's like super important. So that's what I try to do.
What's a piece of advice that Alex Reynolds has given to you that you really take to heart?
Well, Alex is always like more like the calm, like cool, collected one. So piece of advice, I mean, he was just, especially like when everyone was getting signed, like people were like, when AEW started coming around, well, these people were going to AEW. Then WWE at that point was like, oh, we need to sign a bunch of people too. So they started signing a bunch of people, and we're like, damn it, we're not signed. Like, what do we do? Like, I don't know. I was definitely getting very like mentally like upset about that. And I think he's like, no, should I keep on working, keep on grinding, keep on, like, so he kind of like helped me like, all right, let's keep going. We have this, we could possibly do this. It's not over yet. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, we're not signed yet. We're done. We're never going to get signed. I was kind of like pretty down on myself. And he was like, no, should I keep on working? But yeah, like there's still an opportunity. We still don't know what's going to happen. We still could, let's keep on grinding. So he definitely is, I think he kind of like, if I'm having trouble, he'll always kind of talk me down. But, and especially then when we were having like we were really upset about what's going on and not getting signed and not being looked at. So he's kind of like a calm, cool, collected person I can always talk to.
That's really nice. That's special. I mean, what's one thing that you would like to see happen in your career this year? Is there anything that you really want to tick off of your your bucket list, I guess I should say, for the year 2022?
Yeah, I mean, I want some gold. I want to be
yes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff I could say that I've done, that I've already checked off. We've done so many Dynamite main events, Rampage main events. We just haven't won any gold yet. So I guess that's the goal. And I mean, even I've done one pay-per-view match, so I'd like to get another pay-per-view match too. But that's that. I guess you could say that too. More pay-per-view matches and definitely a championship belt. So whether it be the tag team titles, the TNT title, or just give me the world title. Why not? I mean, I'll win them all, I guess. But that's got to be right there. Those are the goals. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you are, a one-time BTE champ. I did mention that at the top in our intro, but the last I saw of it, it was cut in half. So it pretty much is a bit destroyed. I think it could come back together. We can repair this. So I personally would like to see you have that also be a second time BTE World Champ. I don't know where the belt is, if you have any intel on that, or if it's completely
so
just done.
So the belt didn't get cut in half. It was a fake belt that got cut in half.
Yes.
Then Sammy had it and he brought it to his vlog and no one watched it, of course. But then now I think 2.0 I think has it, but they just don't like it is tough to when we're on the road, it's hard to film some stuff all the time. So when we were in Jacksonville, it was a lot easier because it would be like I think we usually be there for 3 days. We'd have like one Dynamite would be live, and we'd film a whole bunch of dark matches that day. Then the next day, Dynamite would be taped, and then we film more dark matches. So like during those dark matches, if you're not on it, like you have so much time. We would be there super late sometimes for both nights. So we had a lot of time to film. Now it's like if you have a match, you need to either film like very early, which we never do because we're all lazy, and we always like, oh, say we'll film later, or you film or you wrestle and then you like hurry up and film something. So like there's a lot where we haven't even like with the Dark Order, we haven't filmed as much as we would like to too, because sometimes we just like we're just way too busy. But yeah, so I understand why they're not always the film like defending it every week and doing this, because then also I found someone I'm gonna do defense with. Okay, well they have to go do this, they have to do that, then they have to do this. Then okay, they're ready. Oh wait, I can't find them. Where's Cutler? Cutler's to film this. I don't know. So it's just like it gets very difficult when we're on the road to film everything. But I'm just gonna go tell them like, hey, we're doing this. I'm gonna beat him whatever game it is, and then I'm just gonna be the champion again.
Yeah, we need that to come back.
I'm gonna do
it. You gotta look. We're making this happen. You gotta bring that back, because that was highly entertaining, and I loved watching you guys just do all the jokes, all the fun games. I mean, it was awesome. So we need to bring that title needs to come back. I think that should be on the list for 2022. I won
dollars with that belt, so that was cool. So I actually like that a lot. So maybe definitely need to get the.
Amen. And one other thing that I would love to know, and this is another fun question, it has to do with movies because I understand that you love movies and this is something that you've expressed in the past. First of all, what's your favorite movie genre?
I think I gotta just go with comedy. I mean, I don't know if that's a big surprise or not, but I love comedy movies, and I like a lot of movies too. I mean, a lot of action movies, but I like when there's at least a hint of like comedy. Like Marvel does that a lot. They kind of have some like a lot of like comedy stuff in there, and other like action movies. Like they like to throw some little comedy stuff, but I can watch any comedy movie. Like I've seen some comedy movies that like over 20 times. Like I'll just keep. I don't know. Like I gotta say comedy, especially like if I always picture myself if I'm gonna be in a movie, which I'd love to. I'd love to start acting too. I would love to. I think comedy would be the way I go. I don't know how serious I'd have to start at least with comedy and then maybe get eventually more serious type of acting. But yeah, I gotta go comedy. I mean, yeah, it's gotta be comedy.
Yeah. And that can certainly happen. You see a lot of comedians, they start off doing a ton of comedy and then they go completely into drama, like Adam Sandler. That's the first one that popped into my head. Comedy from the start of his career, and then Uncut Gems, which is completely, straight drama, tragic, nothing comedy about that movie. So that can be done. That could certainly be done. I mean, if you were to make your own movie and cast anyone from All Elite Wrestling in it, who would it be? What would their roles be? What would the whole movie be about?
That's tough because you don't necessarily need everyone to be the comedy type guy. Mm-hmm. But like I feel like if I need a big guy, a big handsome guy, I'm gonna go Wardlow.
I mean, we knew where this was going.
But I feel like other weird characters that could be in it would be like Eddie Kingston. You could easily put Eddie in the movie. Who else do we got? I mean, 2.0 is actually very funny. They're very weird. I could put 2.0, I think, in the movie. Who else could we get? I don't know. There's definitely, I mean, the more different of characters, I think the funnier you can kind of work off of each other. I mean, personally, I really wish I could have, if I was making a movie, I wish I could have had Brody in it. He was so funny, and that would have been great. But I mean, you could definitely use the roster very well in a movie. I mean, just in different weird roles. I'm trying to think if, let's just say I'm the main character. Mm-hmm. Who would be like, I'd use Alex because I thought of Alex very well. He'd be more of like the straight man, and I'm like the weird one, right? Like I kind of bounce off of his like he's Keenan and I'm Cal,
I love it. That's great.
It. Alex is my co-star. I guess you could throw Anna Jay in there because she would be someone I'd make fun of, I think. Well, actually, her laugh a lot too, so maybe she wouldn't be good at the movie. She'd be laughing too much. I don't know.
Well, I guess it depends. Like, are we talking about a cop buddy comedy? Are we talking about like Good Burger type comedy? I mean, there's so many ways that you could do this, like a Step Brothers type comedy. I think it personally depends on the environment and what you guys would be doing. But I see this.
You mentioned Good Burger, so I'm actually I know he's not an AEW roster, but I'm gonna cast Sinbad too.
Oh my
Sinbad movie. He's in the Dark Order. You know that?
He is? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, this is news to me. I love that.
There's a video of him saying he's joining the Dark Order. It was on BTE a long time ago. And I have it in my videos somewhere. I gotta find it.
Yes, I think you're set. I think the movie is like fleshing out very well.
All we need is Sinbad, really, and we're good.
Exactly. And he could play anything. He could be a teacher, he could be a manager, he could be like anything.
He can, you know what? He'll be the bad guy, like in Jingle All the Way. That's what we'll do.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, we need to have this come to life in some way, like an AEW production.
I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna start going to more acting classes. I'm gonna get an agent, and then I'm gonna tell my agent, "Hey, we're gonna make a movie," and he's gonna be like, "What?" Like, just make it happen, all right?
I'm here for this. I'm here for this, Silver. This is fantastic, and you can quote me on that. So from PWI, you can quote me saying this is fantastic. It'll be in the trailer.
There
So
we go.
yes. So what else is in store for you? I mean, outside of All Elite Wrestling, what else do you have coming down the pipe? Any other side projects? Any places that you're potentially going to wrestle in as the year goes on?
I mean, right now I have nothing super planned. I mean, one thing like actually, I mean, it's good you talked about the movie stuff. I would really like to get into acting. So I just have to like find. Well, there's places near me. I live in New York, Long Island, but there's places I can go for acting classes and this and that. Then I gotta get an agent and just hopefully get in a movie or something. I don't know. I don't know how easy. I made it sound very easy right here, but I think that's something that I could do and could be a lot of fun to do. And that's one thing I definitely would like to do. Besides that, I don't have a lot of crazy side projects or anything like that. I tried to do Twitch for a while, but I'm like not good. I wouldn't say I'm not good at technology, but I'm like everyone plays on like their PC, and it's a lot easier and I don't have one, so mine was like very like done, kind of crappy. So I'm just like, you know what? Maybe I just won't do this as much. And every once in a while, I'll do some like random indie bookings or stuff like that. But I have nothing planned right now. I kind of like to do it if I really want to do it. And sometimes I don't know. It's tough when you're wrestling for TV, then you do an indie show and you just want to make sure you're not getting hurt and things like that. So I try not to take too many shows unless I really want to do it. But right now, I think the only thing I have in mind is try to get in some acting in, and I don't know, try to get some kind of roles. But we'll see. I don't know. That might be down the line. It might take longer than I thought or think. But who knows? We'll see.
Exactly. I think you're at an advantage being in New York. You're close to New York City. You can always take a class. There's 100 different classes in New York City and many agents. And I think being on All Elite Wrestling could only help you and not hurt you. So you have that presence already on television. You can just pretty much craft a reel out of things that you've done in the ring and say, this is who my character is. This is who I am. So that could work.
Hopefully, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are there any, as we're still talking about movies, and I mean, I love movies. My favorite genre is horror, but I do love comedy. That's my second favorite. But are there any movies starring wrestlers that you've come to really love? I mean, there are some wrestlers that have carved out a career path in movies and television as well.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about this like yesterday, and I'm like, you guys know that Paul White has been in some of like the best movies. like he's never like a big role, but he's always in like, I'm like, oh, he's in The Water Boy, he's in Jingle All the Way, he's in MacGruber. I'm like, he's been in some amazing movies. So like, but of course you got now Cena's now with Peacemaker. I haven't seen the series yet, but I heard it's really great. But he was in the Suicide Squad, which was awesome, I thought. Obviously The Rock is in every movie now. And Batista with Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's like, you could do it. And I think it's kind of something that a lot of wrestlers don't think about now in AEW, especially because I'm pretty I mean, we're not like tied down as much. So I think if I was like, hey, Tony, I'm going to be, Marvel wants to do a movie with me. He's going to say, yeah, go do that movie. He's not, like I don't think we get tied down like as like other places where you kind of have to be like retired or not a full-time member to do other stuff. So at least I'd like to think, I'm pretty sure actually. Yeah. So I think if I was offered any type of big movie or role, I think AEW would be fine with that. So I might as well try now, and or even just at least get the experience in now, at least get the acting training in now. So I'll be ready eventually. But I don't know, something I'd like to do. I just keep on I've been saying I want to go to acting classes for like 6 months now. So I think I have to call up. I'm going to call up today. You know what? I'm going to call up today and find out the information, and I'm going to make it work. But yeah, wrestlers in movies have been fantastic. I mean, so many good wrestling movies, acting movies. So I want to be the next one. There we go.
Yes. And I'm going to check in. 6 months from now, I'm going to be like, Silver, did you call that acting school? Are you in acting classes? That would be great for you. And I think you could definitely have that as another career, and the sky's the limit, never say never. So you got to start small and go to the big leagues, right? Yeah. So getting back into the ring with AEW, is there anyone on the roster who you would love to go up against that you haven't already? I mean, you've had some great matches, but is there anyone that at this moment you're thinking, I need to get in the ring with this person?
Me and Alex have said for the longest time, and it seems like we have wrestled them, but we haven't wrestled them in a straight up tag, is the Young Bucks. We've wrestled them in I think I've wrestled them about at least 10 times in like a six man, 8 man, 10 man. But I don't think we in AEW we've never wrestled them in straight up tag. So that's probably the first match that I'd say I'd want. Obviously, also I'd rather love to wrestle Christian, and had a little face off with them the other week at Rampage. I'd love to wrestle Jericho. Those are the first names that really come to mind that are on my big to-do list. But we have such a talented roster that I want to wrestle most people on the roster too. So, but I think if I'm naming the first few people, I think I go with those picks right there.
Love that. I love that. It's been such a joy speaking with you, Silver. I've learned even more about you, and I'm hoping that my guests and viewers have learned just the same. Just my last question for you today. Is there any bit of advice that you can give to anyone who would like to be a pro wrestler, no matter where they're located, whether it's in New York City, Long Island, or beyond?
The biggest advice is keep on wrestling and try to wrestle everywhere. The more reps you get in, the more people you get in front of, the better. And a lot of people kind of get stuck in their way of wrestling in this area or this two companies. If you want to really make it, you gotta be everywhere. You gotta have people know who you are. You can't complain you're not getting a fair shake of getting signed if no one knows who you are, besides the 300 people that go to this one show. You have to be everywhere. You have to be getting noticed by everyone. You have to be getting better. And also you really got to find out what works with crowds and what gets the right reactions, and not just with this, this one crowd or these two crowds. That's why it's good to do, not just to get your name out there. If you're going to multiple shows with multiple different types of crowds, this over here might work great for this one show, but you do it here and no one gives a crap about it, then might have to change something. I mean, it's hard to figure out what's going to work for just about everyone, but there's always a tweak you could do on certain things, and not just your wrestling in the ring, but your character and your personality as well. But I guess the main thing I'd say is try to wrestle everywhere. Try to go from any most popular company, even the more local companies, just try to be everywhere. And that's going to help you the most.
Fine advice from a very fine and talented person, Mr. John Silver, Johnny Hungee. Thank you so much. And you know what? I have to add that you were also on the PWI 500. I apologize, I did not put that in the intro, but that is very important. So congratulations. This is for the 2021 list. So if you guys did not know that, now you know. Thank you so much, Mr. Silver. This was fantastic. It's great to talk with you. Hoping we can do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching another episode of FaceTurn with Candace Cordelia. Go to our website that is on YouTube, PWI, where you can find all of our fantastic episodes and so much more content there on YouTube. Please follow John Silver on all his social media, and you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as well. We will put that information in the description box. Until next time, we will see you later with another awesome episode, and thank you all for tuning in.